Welcome to From the Porch. I am Shannon Berkelback, and I have the pleasure today to be here with Anthony Pulci and his wife Norma, and they have a beautiful place over here. Should I tell them it's really close to Texas land?
Yeah, it is.
So,
We're hoping it's not going to be close to Texas land.
Yes, it's very beautiful, and we're hoping it doesn't end up having an amusement park across the street in the way, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah,
But
for another day.
But we're here because we are running for Justice of the Peace for Precinct 1, which is over here near Hempstead area. And I just have been wanting to interview everybody just to kind of get to know the rest of your story of like why this is important to you, how you got here, all that stuff. I guess first thing is like I'm just interested in how maybe you got into law and you're interested in that area.
Well, I've spent most of my life in law enforcement and criminal justice. I was a police officer at 22 years old and spent a little over 20 years in the police department and rising to the rank of sergeant. And in the department I was in, sergeant was the first line supervisor, but the next step to the chief of police, actually. There was only 3 steps. And I worked there for over 20 years, and then when I retired from that, the opportunity came up to run for a judge, a local criminal court judge in our town, and
it wasn't Texas.
That was not Texas. That was near Buffalo, New York.
Yeah, so I try to check where the accent's from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo, New York.
And I eventually won the election there and spent 12 years as a local criminal court judge up there. And by the time I'd been in there 12 years, we had been married 32 years, I think it was. Yeah. And at that point, Norma wanted to come back to Texas, where she's from. Mm-hmm. And
but I think we should back up and tell that story a little bit more. Like, how did you guys meet?
Well, I came down here 33 years ago to visit a friend of mine who was living down here at the time, and I said to him, I said, "Well, let's go to one of those country western dance halls. I'd like to see how they how they work." And so I went down there and I met Norma there. We danced for 3-4 hours, and I didn't even get her last name. I didn't know for sure who she was, and said goodnight and ended up going. But I had given her a business card because I had a landscaping business on the side, and she sent me a postcard, and we started keeping in touch, and one thing led to another, and I came down here a few months later, and we got married.
Wow! So I guess he was a good dancer.
Yeah. Well, I was learning to dance, is what it was.
Oh.
I kind of knew a little bit, but I walked up to her and I said, "Hey, could you teach me how to do this 2-step thing?"
Oh, it was the teach me how. That was the line. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and we've been dancing ever since.
So Norma, tell me your side of that story.
Well, I wasn't for sure, because he told me he was a police officer, and his card said landscaping. I said, this guy is not right. I am not going to give him none of my information. And I left, took the card, but my girlfriend at work, I worked at Texas Commerce Bank at the time, and I told her, I met this really nice guy. And she said, well, send him a postcard. I said, you think? And he said, yeah, and maybe get more information out. Maybe he'll call you or something. So I gave him the number at the bank, not my home. So he calls me at the bank, and we talked, and him being in law enforcement got my last name and my date of birth.
Oh, no.
I figured it out.
He figured it out.
So one thing led to another, and
Well, you were talking about that you were a barrel racer. We had that in common, that riding on horses and barrel racing. So he came down and watched you do some barrel racing?
Yeah. Well, I had been training for 2 years through Martha Josie. And I had been training very hard every day for 2 years, and I had signed up to compete at the Houston Rodeo. Actually, it was the AQHA barrel racing I don't know what they call it. It's not the actual in the arena, but it was through AQHA. And I had already put my entry fee. I was ready to ride. I had been training for 2 years, and I told them I cannot go to New York until I compete. And I did my last run, at that time. And after I competed, and then we loaded up the horses and we headed towards New York.
So do you have a pretty place like this for horses up there?
Yeah,
Yes,
nice.
it was beautiful. He built me, I had a picture that I got from a magazine of a 14-stall barn that I kept this picture for many, many years, and I said, one day I'm going to build it. And I built it in New York. I gave him the plans, and we had some Amish builders build it. The only difference was that it was open kind of like this on the sides. In New York, I couldn't understand it. They had to close it in. So we closed in the sides because of the weather.
Cold.
The cold weather and the
It was a
snow.
raised center aisle, they called it. The
Yeah.
middle was taller than the rest.
Yeah, I
And-
think it held like over 1,000 bales of hay on the second floor that we would,
Nice.
yes. And
So you had to really love him, though, to move up to that cold weather?
I did. I didn't even know what snow was. Actually, to be honest with you, I had never been out of the state of Texas until we got married.
Nice.
So that was my first trip out of the state.
So after 33 years, she finally grew tired of it and wanted to come back home.
Well,
where-
see, I know she struggled with some health issues and then just
Yeah.
really was like, I want to be home, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
how did you take that when she was like, I'm
Well, no,
tired?
it was due time. I mean, at the time when she moved up there, I had 5 years to go to retire in the police department. I told her, if you want to come back to Texas after that 5 years is over, we'll come back. And then 5 years came and went, and she was good where she was, but eventually she wanted to come back, and that was part of the deal, that we would do that when she wanted to come back. So,
Yeah.
but the problem, not really the problem, but the situation was that I had to retire from the bench up there in order to make that happen. And so, I just wasn't done doing that.
And it's hard to transfer kind of what the law there versus the law in Texas. Is that?
No, I don't think so. The laws are worded a little bit different, but they all pretty much come from the same place. And the thing is, the way I look at this now is that we all say the Pledge of Allegiance to the same flag. So we're divided into little precincts basically. Each state is like a 52 precincts or whatever, 50 precincts, but they all are part of the same country. So I don't feel like I'm away from home. I grew up in a small town like this. It was pretty much almost the same size as Hempstead, and
So how long have you been back in Hempstead or in Texas?
we've been here about 5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I retired up there to bring her back here, I had it in my mind right almost as soon as we got back here that this is something that I would be interested in doing.
Okay. Yeah. To be justice of the peace. So what are your thoughts about the office? I know, again, talking about that it's growing a lot. Do you feel like the caseload and things are what do you think the needs are going to be for that court?
I really don't. I really don't have the inside picture of the court yet.
Okay.
And but I know that whatever they are, I'm sure that we can adapt and handle it. I think that sooner or later, a larger courtroom is definitely in the works. I mean, it's got to be, because the courtroom is smaller than this barn. Really, it's pretty small.
Yeah, we're needing a lot of new buildings.
Yeah.
Sadly, a lot of money
Yeah.
that's going to need to be spent.
But I guess that's the upside of the people that are moving here will be contributing to that. You know, so the money will become available.
We pray for less crime and less problems,
Yes.
less
That's it.
speeding and less everything.
Yes.
Well, that is a possible problem that as the roads get built out and bigger, there'll probably be more, you know, speeding and things like that. But and people are moving out from Houston and wherever they're coming from, so the crime rate is probably gonna go up, and we just need to be ready to deal with that.
I guess a big question I always kind of have is always just would love to hear a little bit more about your faith, just kind of who you are.
Well, I've been Catholic all my life, and when we came here, we pretty much immediately joined St. Catherine Drexel Catholic Church here in Hempstead, and it's been a good fit for us. And they
They welcomed us
Yeah.
immediately. I mean, you felt the warmth of their accepting, you know, new parishioners, and it's like people that it's like you've known them for a while, and you've just maybe known them for several months. And
That is one thing I've got to say is most people here have accepted us as if we've been here pretty much forever. And I don't know if that's because Norma's from here, or what.
It helps.
But I think that my way of life and my easygoing personality it fits in with this area, and so I think that most people don't look at me or us as outsiders. I don't feel anyways. So we feel welcome here in the community.
Good, good. And it helps just to get plugged into a church, and then
Oh,
you
that
run into
helps.
everybody everywhere you go, so they are watching you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we love about the small community. You will run into each other at the grocery store,
I know.
everywhere you go.
Yeah. And the
Although
longer
we're praying
here,
for bigger grocery stores, we still are.
Yeah. The longer we're here, it seems like the more people we know, you know. And when I first got here, you go to the grocery store and you really didn't know anybody. But now you can run into half a dozen or even more people that you know when you go down to the grocery store or the Walmart or wherever.
So anything else that we should know, like fun, hobbies? What do you do for fun?
Well, I like to hunt, deer hunting mostly. I haven't done too much of that since I've been here, but I used to hunt a lot in New York, and
Okay. I figure you have a big honey-do list because you have these horses here.
well, that's kind of the
projects.
that's
so
kind of the
usually-
hobby now is the horses and just taking care of the property and just kind of keeping busy with all that. I do have a little sideline. I do a little brush chopping or shredding with for people and
Okay.
when I have the time and whatnot. But
Jack of all trades.
yeah, I guess.
Sometimes that helps because I can think in JP court too. There's such diversity of things that you're going to be dealing with, and that way you can identify with different people. I mean, I felt like I've always been able to carry on a conversation with you. You know, you're extroverted and just friendly, and so I mean, you're going to have to be that way in court. I mean, I know you're making decisions, but it's helpful to be able to identify and connect with people. You're in a small town making decisions. You're going to run into them again too.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
well, any other parting thoughts that you can think of that you want to share with the community?
Well, all I can say is if they decide that they want me to be the justice of peace, they will be happy with the results. Because, and I know that from past experience. I was a 3-term justice up there, and I would probably still be the justice up there because once I got in, everybody was happy with the way that I ran the court, and I was unopposed for my second and third terms.
Right. Okay.
And a fourth term, a fourth term was coming pretty soon, had I not moved down here, and there was nobody preparing to
Right.
oppose me then either. So
Right.
yeah, so it's
Okay.
I work hard at everything I do, including the court. I've always worked hard. I used to have a landscaping business up there, so I say I was a police officer, but I did other things too.
The landscaping.
I'm more well-rounded than just criminal justice.
Know how to work different machinery.
Yes.
Cool. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing a little bit of your story on your beautiful porch. And just want to make sure you guys know that the runoff election is May 26th. So get out there and vote. Let your voice be heard. It's important. So thank you for coming, and please share this with your neighbor so we can get to know the rest of our community.